Yeah.
Why don't you tell our listeners what our topic would be for this podcast?
Yes, so today we will talk about Beloved, a 1987 novel by an American novelist, Toni Morrison, set in the period after the American Civil War. And Beloved remains an unforgettable novel and one of the great and enduring works of American literature, living up to its 1988 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction.
So, this novel is based on the true story of a black slave woman, Margaret Garner, who in 1856 escaped with her husband Robert and their children. And they sought a refuge in Ohio, but their owner and law officers soon caught up with the family. Before their capture, Margaret killed her young daughter to prevent her return to slavery. In the novel, Sati is also passionately devoted woman or mother who flees with her daughter from an abusive owner known as the school teacher. So they are caught in an act of supreme love and sacrifice. She too tries to kill her children, but then only her 2-year-old daughter dies, and later she inscribes beloved on her daughter's tombstone. Yes, this great piece of work by Toni Morrison tackles the destructive legacy of slavery as it chronicles the life of the black woman named Sethi from her pre-Civil War days as slave in Kentucky from her time in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1873. And although she lived there as a free woman, she is held prisoner by the memories of her trauma in her life as a slave.
So personally, Seth is the one with whom I actually sympathize the most among the characters in the novel. It's because it was like she really had it the hardest way back when they were at Sweet Home, and it really showed in the novel that she was the one who went through a lot, and that traumatized her. And considering what she had experienced in the novel, I would say that it really affected my understanding of the story in a way that I envisioned the story of Beloved as a product of what was emerging back at that time in the African American community, like the impact of slavery in almost all aspects of human life, such as psychological, physical, and emotional.
So I also sympathize with the characters of Seti. That's because of her struggles in womanhood, her traumas, and the pursuit of freedom. It deepens my understanding of the story's theme of resilience and the lacking effect or the lasting effect of slavery.
Of course, I also express my sympathy towards Seti because her experiences as she suffered from slavery suggested that she lived through the shadow of oppression, and after her escape, she was tormented by the trauma which leads her to kill her children for the sake of freedom. And her character really evokes my emotions and interest as it creates an idea which I can be able to attach myself and further understand the story. It also drives me to continuously read and further know and find out the real personality behind Seti.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't have any moments in my life that reflected on the novel since I was born in 2003. And I think slavery that time is not present at all, which is, I'm glad that I didn't experience that. But you know, when we talk about the love and sacrifice, we could always think of our parents who are willing to sacrifice everything for their children, right?
So for my part, if I were to think of any moments that I felt like somewhat resonated with my life experiences and beliefs, I would say there's not much. I mean, it's not that the novel is not relatable, it's just that the scenarios and events in the novel were too serious and, of course, accustomed to what the African American community experienced back in the 1900s. So, if there is one thing which I feel like somewhat close to what to what my belief is, that would be whoever went through the horrors of slavery will always be reminded of the miseries and will forever be haunted by those.
For me, the moment in the story is when Seth killed her own child. Somehow or somewhat, this resonated to my beliefs because as a woman who could bear a child, I think it is not right to take the baby's life, as it's a mother's nature or in a woman's nature to protect her child from harm or from everything. I think that sin is the not the moral decision to do. It did shape my overall interpretation of the text. So my emotional response depends my connection to the characters and themes, leading to a more understanding of the story. The part where Seth was sexually abused, it intensifies my emotion since it's kind of a disturbing scene for me. And as I read the novel, that scene or that part helps me to arrive at such interpretation that slavery has brought severe traumas to the characters in the story.
Yeah, and for me, I can say that my emotional response to certain scenes and themes in the story shaped my overall interpretation of the text because it serves as a driving force for me to continuously read the story. And also, my emotion urged me to explore the themes depicted and allow me to, like, further understand and further discover the deeper denotations that the themes have illustrated.
Yes, I agree to the both of you that my emotional response to certain scenes shaped the overall interpretation of the text. Since because of the emotions that I felt in every scene, you know, I slowly recognized the identity of each characters, and I also understood the message that the authors wants to convey. Yeah. Actually, there are lots of female characters in the novel, but let's just focus on the main characters. So the first one is Seti. So she is the protagonist in the novel, and she is depicted as a woman who experienced slavery and motherhood. So she is a mother of Denver, Howard, and Bugler. So she is a very protective mother, and she doesn't want her children to experience what she had experienced in the past. And then the second one is Denver. Of course, she is the daughter of Seti, and you know she has this development all throughout the novel because from being shy and lack of social interaction women into being, you know, being a resilient and strong and independent woman.
Yeah, so aside from them, there is also Baby Sue's character, and she's also a victim of slavery. But her character was portrayed as a woman with a sense of compassion, and she significantly played a part in the lives of the Black American community because of her, the Black American community was kept united with her preach, and I think that's one good thing about her character.
I agree with that. Women in Beloved are depicted with nuance and complexity as they struggle with the traumas from slavery upon their sense of self, identities, and relationship. And despite the severe traumas they had go through, they are portrayed as strong, caring, and extremely protective of their families.
Yes.
Women and beloved uplift and support each other through the shared experiences of trauma and oppression. They form deep bonds of sisterhood, providing emotional support, understanding, and solidarity in the struggles against the constraints of slavery and, of course, the societal expectations.
Yeah, women in the novel uplift and support each other. I think through encouragement and as well as speaking up for each other. So as portrayed by Baby Sugs, the my favorite character in the story, a strong woman who spread courage to her fellows, and she also expresses words of reinforcement to strengthen everyone to fight for their freedom and for their dignity. As well as in the novel, it was depicted that in her preaching, she encourages the people in the community to reclaim their privilege and take back the self-worth that has been deprived due to oppression. And with that, I can say that women really could also empower and make change for the community. And also, woman is the true definition of dauntless who can fight and stand up for their freedom and for their rights.
Yeah, that's right. And another good example from the novel where women help each other is that when Beloved came to the house of Seti, then Denver helps her in many ways. Like she always give her food, she takes good care of her, she bands with her. She understands the situation of Beloved, and most importantly, she loves her very much.
Yeah. Okay. In this novel, I think Morrison illustrated the way women resist oppression and reclaim their voices in the face of systemic violence and trauma through, of course, the portrayal of Seti's character. It is because Seti is not a woman who just easily gives in with her devastating past life experiences. She is a woman portrayed with the will to make a change and the courage to overcome what has been haunting her for years.
So, Toni Morrison's in this novel illustrate women's resistance to oppression and the reclamation of their voices through the acts of defiance, survival, and communal strength. So, despite facing the systemic violence and traumas, women in the novel find ways to assert their agency, to reclaim their identities, and also to confront the legacy of the slavery.
All right, I agree with the two of you. So I think also that the author illustrate the way in which women resist oppression and reclaim their voices through highlighting the characters of Seti and Baby Sug. So as portrayed, Seti creates a notion that despite the trauma she had experienced, she still stand and face what she had always feared. And as for Baby Sags, I think the author had illustrated a dauntless woman who had the courage to speak up and serves as a source of strength to empower people. So in this way, I think the characters or I mean the author can elucidate how women stand and express their voices to eradicate violence and oppression.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the resiliency of women is really commendable.
Yeah.
Yes, and I hope that we get to the point that we could be like them too in the future.
Yeah, of course.
So I think Seti's experiences influences her decisions and actions in life because the trauma that she had suffered from slavery drives her to like commit a desperate act which killed her daughter, and of course her desperations to find a man who could love her and take care of her affects her relationship with Denver as well as on her other daughter, which is Beloved. And in that way, I can say that every decisions and actions that throughout her life was influenced by the experiences she had been through.
Yeah, my opinion is the same with you that because of the experiences that Seti had in her past, you know, she thought that killing her own daughter is the best and the only possible way to keep her away from slavery. And based from the beliefs of Seti, killing her own daughter is better than let her suffer from slavery.
However, I think Seti's action was a bit questionable because, as a mother, if I am in the state of Seti, I would not kill my children. Yeah.
Yes, and as a mother, as a woman who could, the intention was to always protect my child from every harm or from everything. I think I could never be the culprit of my own daughter or my own child.
Actually, you guys have a point, but then in my part, I think at that time she is left with no choice, and she's also affected with what happened to her in the past, and it is because she is traumatized that it's like she's not in the right mind. So with being left with no choice, of course, and those people who were actually part of her hardship from the past came. So I think her decision was not really, though it's not her intention, but it's like it's her choice for the sake of her children, because she wanted to keep them from slavery as well. And yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't
Yeah, I think it's because of the trauma that Seti had experienced in the past. Because, it drives her to kill her own daughter.
So the setting of the novel is in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the United States of America during the year of 1870s, which greatly affect the overall themes of the novel. So after the Civil War, black people were denied equal rights and experienced oppressive acts that hindered them to attain freedom. Also during those times, slavery and oppression are evident, and it triggers trauma and loss of dignity of the people. So in that way, author had illustrated the history, the history of the place where the novel takes place. So that's it.
okay.
So in the novel, the portrayal of wealthy can be depicted in the characters of the school teacher, which is said to be the Seti's master and the enslavers in the story. And we can also consider that those who are wealthy are those who are the white people. And on the other hand, the poverty can be depicted in the characters of Seti, Baby Suggs, as well as Denver, and the people in their community, which is said to be a black people.
Yeah, and in addition to that, their social status really affect their lives. Like when you are a wealthy person, then you have the power and the authority to control everything. But if you are just poor, then you don't have the opportunity to, to decide for your own good, and you are just destined to be the slaves in the society. Right.
Yes. And this is my general take out of what was portrayed in the novel, that if you belong to the population that is seated in poverty, then you are most likely to experience, of course, being enslaved by those who are with power. And on the other hand, if you are born or you are one of those who enjoy wealth and power, then it's like you are somewhat given the authority by default to take control of the lives of those who are unfortunately below yours.
Yeah, and also when you are wealthy, you have the power and you are the superior and the dominant one. However, when you are poor, I think you are the unprivileged one, which are deprived by the freedom. Like that.
Yeah,
Yes, I
exactly.
agree with that. When you are poor, you seem like you don't have the voice to say what you really want. And if you are, they say that if you are born with a golden spoon in your mouth, it seems that people will look up to you, and you have the authority to say or to choose what you really want in life.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you.
The historical context of slavery is central to the novel's exploration of trauma, memory, and the enduring legacy of slavery in American society. So, by grounding the narrative into a brutal realities of slavery, Toni Morrison sheds light on the ongoing struggles of African Americans to reckon with their past and also to forge senses to their identities and belonging in a society that is marked by systemic racism.
And I think also that the significance of the historical context that has for the novel Beloved is that it contributes to the overall themes of the novel, which are the slavery, the trauma, as well as the healing, as well as the history of the setting, which happens during the 1870s, serves as the source of the author to write the novel. And uh, she had illustrated the different themes or the different events that happened or occurred during the past.
And aside from that, I think the historical context of this novel can also be the catalyst of change to open the mind of every individual in the society. And also, it will help the people to give the value and importance to everything around us and, embrace the equalities in our society.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe that's it. That's a great opinion to incorporate the significance of the historical context that has for the novel. So, Toni Morrison's novel Beloved encapsulates the overarching legacy of slavery in America through the depictions of first, the violence, second, trauma, and the last one is healing. So, violence has a vivid portrayal where it revolves on how enslavers discriminate those who are they considered inferior. And the author's way of illustrating violence challenge the readers to dig deeper to have a profound understanding about the idea of aggression. Second, the novel also explores the trauma where it can be seen in the character of Seti, who has a horrible past throughout her life. And due to this, there are scenes that um, those experiences where she desperately killed her daughter, which showed that the past experiences really affects the present. And lastly, healing. So healing serves an important role as the character takes enough courage and self-acceptance to finally find peace in the midst of the trauma they had suffered during the oppression. So overall, those themes, including the violence, the trauma, and healing, were used by Toni Morrison's to provide us the glimpse of the occurrences that happened during the post-Civil War. And also, it provides the readers to know that, to understand that experiences or past experiences has an impact on how we on our decisions in the present, as well as because it's the past can continuously shape the present. Yeah.
Right, that's a good point.
The novel Beloved by Toni Morrison illustrated the moral lesson of facing the past to achieve liberation and healing through the explorations of themes including the traumas, the healing, and the violence. So these three themes revolve in the character of Seth, which she has experienced slavery and oppression. Then it triggers her to make a desperate action to, which is to kill her child. And however, the soul of the baby that she killed made Seth to face her past. And with this, the novel wants the readers to realize that despite of the pain and the regrets, we should confront the problems in our lives as it will help us to free ourselves and help and heal us from the sufferings. And also, the in the novel, facing the past will also help us um, to lighten the burdens or uh, free us from the heaviness of the situation, and also it will help us to discover that we are brave to took a step and move forward. So one good example in the novel is when the character or the deceased daughter of Seth was brought into the novel. So in that scene, in that part, the it helps Seth to free herself from the past, and it helps her to tell and express the sufferings she had from the past.
Yeah, do you have anything to say, guys?
Nothing. Yeah, I agree with you. That
Yeah.
facing the past is hard, but as long as we have the courage to move forward, we can face all of the experiences, the horrible experiences we had.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. And in the novel, it's like Beloved played a very significant role because she was the driving force for Seth to take a step forward and to embrace and confront her past.
Yes, that's true.
Personally speaking, what this novel by Toni Morrison taught us about the enduring impact of historical injustices and the necessity of confronting them is definitely the idea that um, the wounds of the past will take time to heal. Right? You know, there will always be a time that we will be haunted by those painful memories that have long scared us, both physically and mentally. But, you know, we need to be strong as we deal with the process of healing ourselves.
And of course, right. So healing is the best way to free ourselves or to have freedom. And of course, when we say healing, it is very important part of ourselves wherein we can move forward. And before doing that, we should stand up and have the courage to speak up. And also, when it comes to historical injustices, so if you won't resist or if you won't fight against it, it will just remain there and it will not going to be, yeah, all right.
I think one of the crucial lessons that the readers could learn in this novel by Toni Morrison is that knowing the importance of sacrifice to express the love you could give to someone else, right? Just like Sethi in the novel, although she desperately killed her own daughter to protect her from slavery, still she believes that it's the only way for her to be free from slavery, and Seth did it because she loves her daughter, right?
And Toni Morrison's portrayal of love and sacrifice influenced the novel's moral message as it provides the readers a deep contemplation on weighing love and sacrifice. So in the novel, Toni Morrison's used these two aspects for us to think and choose carefully. So also in the novels, because of Sethi's too much love for her children, she sacrificed the life of her child, even if it was too painful. And I can say that love, or the moral message of the story, that love could be too powerful that it could drive a person to risk and sacrifice everything they had.
Yeah. Um, So honestly, what I think this novel by Toni Morrison taught us about the transformative power of confronting the past and embracing the truth despite painful experiences is that we, at all times, just really have to be courageous and strong enough to deal with the experiences that pain us because we are already in that situation and there's no easy way of escaping from it because that's our reality as human beings. And I also believe that this has some connection with this common truth that the only way to get out of it is to go through it. So no matter how painful it is and no matter how long it takes, we just really have to be courageous in enduring with that situation.
Yeah, so I agree with you to have the courage or to be strong and have bravery to conquer all the things in life, as well as we should always stand for ourselves and fight for our rights as well as our freedom.
And aside from that, what this novel by Toni Morrison taught us is to just cherish the present and enjoy every moment of life because it will help us to move forward and we could learn to leave the past because we cannot change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I believe that the experiences from our past will also help us to have a better future.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. I guess this ends our meaningful discussion for this noble beloved. Stay tuned for more interesting topics in our next episodes.
Thank you for listening!